it's cold but sunny, so I'm taking sunny as an advantage. It's like at least it's not raining.
Absolutely.
Nice to see a bit of sunshine. And you? How hot is it there at the moment?
I mean, usually we are having the spring season starting in 1 week, but for some reason we had a delay. So we are starting to have a rain those 2 weeks. So massive.
Oh, no.
Rain. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a bit more sun, but the temperature is... you went to social media marketing world once, yeah?
Yes.
You're not going this year, are you?
Three times.
3 times.
What about you?
Yeah, 7 times.
Oh, amazing.
So I'm going soon.
Yeah.
And looking forward to actually sunshine that has heat.
Yes. And usually I love the sun of San Diego. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think last time I was there, it rained a lot and very, very heavily. So let's just hope, because it's a little bit later this time, that we have nice weather.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. So we are on time. 2 p.m.
Great.
So hello, Amin, Fatima, Ibtihal, Yunus, Dunya. Hello, everyone. So today live webinar is hosted by Mindful Academy, and we are thrilled to have Amanda join us for an insightful session on how to use Google Analytics to find out how your marketing is getting results, the big question. So Amanda is the founder of Spiderworking. She helps businesses improve their digital marketing and return on investments. So if you have wondered how your marketing efforts are doing, so you can go to Amanda. She got the answer. So she's an internationally recognized marketing strategist known for her award-winning content on Spiderworking blog. Amanda has also written for leading marketing platforms such as Social Bakers, Social Media Examiner, and Agora Pulse. So, Amanda, we are excited to have you here today to share your experience on Google Analytics. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. And I'm excited to be here. It's great to meet so many new people. Okay, I'm going to attempt to share my screen. I'm not great with Google Meet, so we'll see how this goes. Okay.
Yes.
New screen. Here we go.
So perfect.
Okay, that's good. Sorry, warning thing came on the screen. It's all right. We're not going to get infinity mirror. I have more than one screen. So yes, delighted to meet you. It's not just going to be me presenting. We are going to go into some Google Analytics stuff live as well, so you can see what I'm talking about. So I guess I don't like that. Oh, look at that. Sorry. I'm doing all sorts of things on my screen. Great. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start talking about analytics. What we're going to look at today is firstly just find your way around the Google Analytics for dashboard. I know a lot of you will have looked at analytics in the past. You'd have looked at the old analytics. Then, of course, Google forced Google Analytics 4 upon us. And everything is different and everything is far harder to find. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at the different reports that you can look at to find if you're actually reaching the right people. Are you converting those people? I'm going to show you briefly how to customize a report in Google Analytics 4, because that's really what Google Analytics 4 is all about. You can customize, you can build your own experience within it by customizing reports. And once you get the hang of that, you'll really get into Google Analytics and how it's going to work. And then we're going to talk, I'm just going to briefly, after each section, I'm going to talk about some of the things that you could do with the insights that you're getting from Google Analytics. So let's start with when somebody arrives on your website. What do they do? What do they do? Well, some of them are going to click and leave straight away, find out they're in the wrong place. This isn't for them. Some people are going to hang out for a while and look around, maybe bookmark your site so that they can come back to it. Some people are going to be very enthusiastic. They're going to look at all the pages on your website. And some people are going to buy from you, or if you're a service business, fill in a contact form, fill in a quotation form, book a call, all of those things that we would see as being valuable actions. And really, what they do when you visit your site tells you a lot about that visitor, about their behavior on the site. So how do we find out about these people? Well, we have to open analytics, of course. But for a lot of people, when we open analytics, particularly since the switch over to Google Analytics 4, you get this, which I call analytics face. It's that feeling like you've just bitten into a lemon when you're expecting a sweet orange. It really gives you the fear. And some people get that. Some people actually go, oh, I want to have a look around. So instead of just running off, they will dive into an analytics rabbit hole. And I know, because I've done this, you can spend hours in that rabbit hole looking around, trying to find out what's going on. And you can spend more than hours. You can spend days looking at this stuff, getting really excited, getting into your reporting. But in the end, you probably come out again without having much new insight, because you need to know what you're looking at, what you want to look at before you even go in there. So let's start with looking at your Google Analytics dashboard. And I'm going to go into this live. Hopefully all my magic did work. That's great. So Google Analytics, Google themselves actually have a demo site, a demo analytics account you can play with. And I went there today and there was no data. So we're going to look at my analytics, which, as we can see, are kind of pathetic. But there we go. This is your main dashboard when you go in. And some things will seem very familiar. It doesn't look that different to the way it did in Universal Analytics. So this card at the top will tell you how many users, how many people have visited your website, how many purchases you've made. I don't sell much directly on my website. I'm not really that bad at business that I've only made 2 purchases in the last month, really. But that's what Google Analytics is recording. Here, if anyone was actually on my site at the moment, we'd get real-time results. We'd be able to see who was there right now. Now, this is kind of like a contradiction, because you can see what people are doing on your website right now. If there was someone there, I could click through. I could see what page they were on. I could see if they triggered any key events. But after they leave, after 30 minutes, they disappear and they don't appear in your standard reports for at least 24 hours. Sometimes it can take 72 hours for that data to appear in your standard reports. This can seem quite frustrating, because you could tell there were 10 people on your website and you could tell they were looking at all this stuff, but we can't actually see anything about them in our standard reports. So there is this delay in reporting. So just to be aware of that. Underneath that, you'll have anything that you've recently looked at. Suggested for you, this will be customized to your own behavior and your own results. So you'll see, most people would have like the active users by country there, but you'll see different things depending on your own behavior. And then I've none of these at the moment, but these are really useful. It's definitely worth going to your homepage and scrolling down for insights and recommendations, because this will tell you if it finds an anomaly. So if you had a sudden drop in website visits, for example, it will point that out to you. And that's so useful because, of course, when you know that, you can go, oh, is my website broken? Which could be the case. The same with conversions, the same with a number of things. It will just say to you, there's something you need to look at here. It could be that you've got a rise in sales, which is always good, but definitely worth looking there every time you log in. So that's your dashboard. There is one really important setting that I'd like you to look at today. And the reason I say this is, firstly, I don't know why out of the box it is set up this way, because it just doesn't make sense to me. And secondly, most people, when they're setting up Google Analytics, wouldn't even look this far to see this. So will I share that really important setting in your Google Analytics with you? You better say yes. Yes. Zinabi's nodding. So that's yes. Good. It's really important. So I would love, if you're able to open up your Google Analytics now, check this out now. I know you're recording this, so people might come back to it. So from your Google Analytics window here, at the bottom left-hand side, you'll have this little cog or wheel that brings you to the admin section of your site, of your analytics. And what we're going to look at is data retention. And when we go into data retention, you'll see here under event data, you'll see I've got mine set to 14 months. But by default, it is set to 2 months. You only have 2 options, 2 months or 14 months. And what that means is it won't show up in your regular reports. You won't even notice that anything is missing. But when you want to go and create more complex explore reports or dive deeper into your data, you'll only have access to 2 months worth of stuff, which isn't great because maybe you want to compare last year to this year and all of a sudden you'll just get this error coming up saying this time period isn't valid. So the first thing, go in here, make sure both of these are set to 14 months. If they're saying 2 months at the moment, just switch over. We can't get longer than 14 months through regular analytics, but 14 months should be enough to show you that year-on-year data.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is my one big setting, the one important thing that you need to look through. And I am going to send you over the slides, so there is actually a screenshot of where you'll find that as well.
Okay.
Next up is your reports section. And when Google Analytics 4 first came out, we just had one option of reports, which was life cycle. Everyone got life cycle. But I'd like you to look at your sidebar now. So if you manage to get Google Analytics open, so if you click into reports here, I'd love to know, do you have life cycle or do you have business objectives or do you have both? Because sometime sorry, go on.
Yes, I'm taking a look actually.
And what are you getting? Sorry, I'm making my screen flip around now. Which do you have?
Life cycle.
Yes. Sorry, that's my favorite. That's why I'm saying yes. So the thing is, they added, after about 1.5 years of having Google Analytics 4, before they made everyone switch, they started asking a question when you set it up about what your industry was and what you wanted to learn. And depending on what you chose there would depend on what sidebar you would get. Now, the thing is, all the reports are the same. They're just in a different order. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of frustrating, but it's all there. So whether you have life cycle, business objectives, all the reports are there. So if you have life cycle, you'll have like these little buckets that they put reports in. You have acquisition, which tells you where your customers are coming from. You have engagement, which tells you which customers are or what content your customers are engaging with. Monetization, which is if any of you are e-commerce, that's going to be really important. I'm not e-commerce, so I ignore that an awful lot. Retention, are your customers coming back? Demographics, retention, demographics, and tech are there for everyone. Demographics, who's visiting your site? And tech, what technology are people using when they visit your site? So that's kind of the breakdown for life cycle. If you've got business objectives, they can appear in a different order to this. I've recently discovered, but this is usually what you see. I do feel, though, we need to commend Google a little bit for this because it is them trying to be a little bit more user-friendly to explain things in a better way. And I think Google don't do that so infrequently. Maybe I shouldn't get down on them for this. But these are the 4 little buckets you get. Generate leads, which is where your customers are coming from and where do they arrive on your site. Driving online sales, which is all about your ads, promotions, and your e-commerce. So again, the area I would ignore because I don't do any of that. Raise brand awareness, which is about who's visiting your website, what are they looking at, and examine user behavior. So what content are people looking at and what events and key events are they triggering? Now, I'm going to talk about key events in a moment. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but key events is basically a conversion on your site. So that could be somebody making a purchase. That could be somebody filling in your contact form, somebody joining your email list, downloading a lead magnet, filling in your quotation form, or booking a call. All of those might be considered like your business objective, your goals. We'll get into those in a little bit more in a second. So now we've kind of we know what's there. What do we measure? What should we be actually looking at? So for simplicity, I've broken this down into a standard marketing funnel because I think most people are familiar with this process. You've got your awareness, consideration, purchase, and loyalty. And before we start, let's look at those key events. And the reason I say this, it's really important to have these set up because otherwise you could see that loads of people are visiting your website and spending time on your website, but you won't be able to see anything about the actual actions you want them to take. So I'm going to go into my Google Analytics again. I'm going to start with the home page because I think it's always easier when I'm demoing something if we start from home. And at the bottom left-hand side of your screen, we're going to go into that admin panel again. And then here we can see we've got, you might need to scroll down. I've just made it really big so you can see everything on my screen. You'll have events and key events. So if you click into key events, and Zineb, I know you have your analytics open, so you may look there. I'd love to know what you have. You will have purchase, whether people can purchase on your site or not. It's almost like Google go, no, you have to have purchase. You'll see a little grey toggle next to it. You can't touch that. But I'd love to know what else you have. You can see I've got 24. I have quite a few key events on my website. So I'd love to know what you've got there. So these are all basically different products, different lead magnets, different things that kind of offer that I want to know when somebody's actually converting.
I have actually only 2, payments and basket.
Oh, and you don't have purchase?
No, for some reason.
Well, there goes my theory that you have to have purchase, but there you go. I'm actually not, maybe this is one of the things that they've changed. I actually found when I was running through this today, I found something else that they've changed recently. So that sounds like it's when somebody adds payment info and when they add to basket. Now, I wouldn't necessarily make those key events. And the reason for that is that's not the end goal. The end goal is the purchase rather than those two. You can still measure them. You can still add them to your whole measurement plan. But by making them key events, it's like you're going to get 2 events every time somebody buys because you're going to get the add to cart and the payment. So I would toggle those off. I mean, don't do it right now. Think about it. But my recommendation there would be to toggle those off.
So maybe we can do like 2 kind of events, for example, buy and maybe only engage with the ebook or. Yeah,
that would be perfect because then you've got like a mid-funnel thing when they're downloading an ebook, and then you've got the top of the bottom of funnel thing when they're actually buying. Now, if you go into the events tab here on the left-hand side, you'll see all the different events you can have, and this you can see you can toggle those on and off as you want to. So I'm actually seeing purchase there. It is toggled on. It's just hiding from me in my analytics. So you can go and switch those on and off as you want. It won't affect your previous data. So up to now, all key events will have been marked for the ones that you've got. But as soon as you switch it off, well, I say as soon, it takes 24 hours. Everything in Google Analytics takes 24 hours, but it will stop registering that as a key event, but it will still be measurable as a standard event. I feel like I said event a lot of times. Does that make sense? I can't hear you now. I think you're muted.
Yes, perfect.
Good. Okay, good. Right, so that's your key events. So far, we've looked at the dashboard, we've looked at the sidebar, what you've got there, and we know what the key events are there. Now you're all set up to start measuring. So let's start with that awareness phase. And this is the biggest part of your measurement, really, awareness, because there's so many different things that you need to measure. And a lot of marketers will actually sniff at awareness as being a key, awareness as being something we should measure. They're going to go, and that's not important. But of course, people don't know about your business, they can't buy from you. So it is important. But it's also important that we're looking at the right people. So the first thing we're going to look at is I keep moving the wrong screen around. No, that's not what I wanted to do either. I keep going through my slides and I don't want to. People who know me know I'm always pressing the wrong buttons. Here we go. Right, we're back into our analytics now. I'm going to start from the home page, like I say, I always do, because it makes it easier. I'm going to go into reports, and we're going to go into user attributes. And the first thing we can do is we can go into this overview, which gives us like a good ballpark idea of who's visiting our website. So what countries are they coming from? Gender, I'll talk about that in a little while. We can see there's a big exclamation mark there. Interests, age group, and language. Now, the reason this can be wildly inaccurate is that Google doesn't know that much about users. I mean, there's privacy. So even if it did know stuff about users before, it knows very little now. There are two things it's pretty confident on. I mean, people do use VPNs, but in general, it's pretty sure which country people are visiting your website from. And depending on the size of your country, so I live in Ireland, it's a small island. Population is, I think it's creeping up to 5 million now. We feel it's almost doubled since I arrived, but it's still a small population. And that means because we're quite cramped in the country, that my IP address floats. Sometimes it thinks I'm in the west of the country. Sometimes it thinks I'm in the north. Sometimes it knows where I am. So it's very hard for it to identify exactly where I am, but it does always get it right that I'm in Ireland. The same goes for the United Kingdom. I'm not sure like how, I know Morocco's a much bigger country than Ireland, but I'm not sure how wide your population spread. But generally the region people come from can be a little bit misleading. Whereas country, it always gets right. The other thing it always gets right is the language that people speak. So in general, people will access the internet in the language that they speak. So this section here is quite accurate. It doesn't really know about gender. It knows a small proportion of the people who visit your website who've allowed it to take the data. It will know then if you're male or female. The same with interests and the same with age group. So let's break this down a little bit further and go into the demographics detail report. So this automatically, Google knows this is what it's good at. It knows it's good at representing the country. This shows you all the countries that people visit your website from. So the first thing you want to do is you want to work out not just where people are visiting from, but who do you want to visit your website? So my main target markets are Ireland, because that's where I live, the United Kingdom, because I'm in the bit of Ireland that doesn't belong to the United Kingdom, and the United States. They're my top 3 target countries. And luckily for me, we can see that the number of people visiting my website from those countries, you know, good news, those 3 there. I can expand the amount of time that I'm going to look at, and I'm going to do that because it'll make it easier later on when we're looking at reports. So instead of 28 days, I can go to 30, 90 or 12 months. I'm going to go to 12 months because that will give us way more data considering my website's low traffic. The other thing about Google Analytics 4 compared to Universal Analytics is it's really slow. Okay, still good news. United States, United Kingdom and Ireland are the top 3 countries visiting my website. And we can see there's a significant drop between the United Kingdom and Ireland. Again, part of that's due to the population. Visitors is good news. What's even better news is if they are triggering key events. So we can see here the top country is the United States, then United Kingdom, and then Ireland. If I go over here, we've got the column that says key events. And this is one of the things I'm like, why would Google make this so complicated? You can see when I hover over the top of that word, this little arrow appears, little grey arrow. And when I click on that arrow, it will order the report. Instead of by active users, it will order it by key events. And remember, these are the things that I want people to do on my website. So I'm going to click onto that. And now I can see things have flipped around a bit because even though I have fewer visitors to the United States, I can see that I've got significantly more key events from those people. I can also see that the United States has provided me with more money. Now, again, I don't sell much on my website, so this isn't hugely accurate. But if you are selling a lot on your website, this is really revealing. So they've got the most visitors, fewer key events, but more money. So that means maybe I should be spending more time targeting the United States. And United Kingdom second and Ireland third, which again, I definitely don't have enough customers from Ireland. So the question for you is, does this match your ideal customer? When you look at that, are you getting people from the countries, the regions that you want to buy from you coming to your website? And are those people actually buying from you? And if they're not, there's a few things that you can do. Firstly, you can create more content that is going to attract those people. So maybe you could attract more regional content, stuff that's going to talk about their needs in their specific area. So for Ireland, I might want to create something on the challenges of running an online business in Ireland. Or maybe I have a podcast. Maybe I should be interviewing more people from Ireland on the podcast to attract more people into what I do. You can go and engage on more online groups, like Facebook groups, Slack groups, Discord groups, all of those, where your ideal customer is, because this serves you in two different ways. Firstly, it will tell you, it'll give you the opportunity to talk directly to those people and maybe eventually sell to them over time, but it also helps you understand the problems and their needs that you can address with your content to drag them into your site. And you can make sure that you're engaging with your ideal customer on social media. And this is something so many people don't do. They think social media is just content, or in fact, just getting out there and talking to people can work much more. So have a look for your ideal customer on, I can't call it X, Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. Make sure that you're commenting on their content. Make sure you're commenting on the posts that the people that would inspire them also post, because then you're getting into conversations with large volumes of those people. Next, we want to know, where are the people who visit your website coming from? So we're going to go back in again and back into the reports menu. And under acquisition, you've got two acquisition reports. You've got user acquisition, which tells you if Google can identify it's the same person, the first time they visited your website, where did they come from? Traffic acquisition means this time that they visited your website, where do they come from? So I'm a big fan of user acquisition because I like to know that first touch point as much as possible. So we'll click into that one. And this was one of the things that baffled me when Google Analytics 4 first came out. I was like, what is this? User primary channel group, default channel grouping. What is this? It's like very frustrating, because all I wanted to know was Facebook driving traffic to my site, and I had this thing come up. This is a classic example of what I call googledygook, because although it's handy to know that search is driving this much and social is driving this much, what I really want to know is which social networks are driving this much traffic, not that as a grouping they're driving this much traffic. And I'm sure you'd be the same. You want to know if that's paying off. That time that you're spending on LinkedIn, is it actually delivering anything for you? Luckily, we can change this. We can change this googledygook. So if I click on the little down arrow there, and I'll just, I was going to start typing in, but it's right in front of you. Going to go for first user source, and source is the word for the website that people came from. So let's click onto that. And now I can see a big list, like umbrella.com, that's a spam site. Direct is just annoying. LinkedIn, Bing. We can see m.facebook.com. And this is the other problem. In the old analytics, you used to be able to go into your social report and it would just say Facebook and it would show you everything. Whereas here, if I just type into the search bar at the top here, Facebook, you can see there's lots of different URLs for Facebook, depending on how someone accessed your site. So m.facebook.com is mobile, Facebook that I've used in a tracking link, l.facebook.com is something else, lm.facebook.com, Facebook with a capital F, which they consider different to Facebook with a small f, and facebook.com. So there's all these different versions of Facebook. So what we need to do, if we want to replicate what we used to be able to see in our social report, is we need to customize a report for each individual channel. What I've done here is I've temporarily filtered it, but I want to make sure that I'm capturing all the visits from Facebook into the future. So I'm going to show you how to customize a report, and then we're going to work out, are these people actually valuable? This is the bit that you might want to come back to later, because I can only go through it once. Do stop me if you need me to do it again. So we want to customize a report for just Facebook, and then maybe we want to customize a report for Instagram, and then maybe we want to customize a report for organic search, and then maybe we want to customize a report for LinkedIn. So to do that, at the bottom left-hand side of your screen, you'll see the word library. And this is where all the reports live. When we go into there, here we go, this is all the reports. Now I have lots of reports here that I need to delete, all starting with the word test. We're going to create another one today. So if we click on create new report, this big blue button, and create detailed report, this is our starting point. And you can start from scratch, but that's not what we're going to do, because as you saw, I was looking at a user acquisition report. All we need to do is customize that. So we're just seeing the traffic from Facebook. So user acquisition is right here. I can click into that. And you'll see this is exactly the same report as we were just looking at. Got all the same things, except we've now got this customized section on the right-hand side. So the first thing I want to do is what I did before, change this horrible googly-gook into source. Great, now we've got all this again. Now, instead of typing Facebook into the search bar, I need to permanently filter to Facebook. And there's a big hint on the right-hand side here of how we might permanently filter. Add a filter. So the first thing it asks for is a dimension. And a dimension is something that is described with words. So your first user source, they're all described with words. And in general, a metric is something that is described with numbers. So all these columns are numbers, metrics. So we've only got one dimension that we're looking at here, first user source. That's the one we want to filter by. So when I go to select dimension, excuse my cough, you could either like scroll through all this and try and find first user source, or you can just start typing. So there we go, first user source. And now we need to tell it, okay, what do you want to see? Which dimension, which parts of this dimension do we want to see? So we've got options here. We've got exactly matches or contains, and we've got some more complex things. We're going to go with exactly matches here, because we know all the different versions of Facebook we want to choose. And that gives us checkboxes. So if I start typing Facebook, I've only got one come up, so we may need to do it a different way. Oops. We're going to have to do it another way because it's not bringing up all the other versions. Okay, so Google Analytics has been bold today. Bold is an Irish word for naughty, by the way. I have to explain the Irishisms. So instead, we're going to go for contains, and then we're just going to type in the word Facebook, just because it's not playing ball today. And then click apply. So now you can see it's brought in all those versions of Facebook, all the different URLs it's come from, and it's showing us the total users here. Now we just need to save that report. I'm actually not going to save it because I have so many saved already, but when you go to save, you give it a name. And here I'd recommend something that makes sense to you. Forget about googly-gook. Call it like my Facebook report, or something that you'll go, oh yeah, this is exactly what I want to look at. And you can create that for every single marketing channel you use. So maybe you want one for your emails, your search traffic, all of the things that you're using. But the big question is this traffic actually valuable? And to know that, we need to look at some specific things. Now, firstly, I have a little inkling about social media that, you know, it's hard to get traffic from social media. We all know that, right? The algorithms don't like it. They don't want to show people links. So they don't want people leaving the site because then they can't make any money or mine your data. And also users don't particularly like clicking links because they're, you know, messing around on Instagram. They don't necessarily want to have to go to your bio to click a link to get something. So you don't get a huge amount of traffic, but my inkling is that, inkling as in my feeling about this, is that social media traffic is actually valuable. It's not necessary, you're not necessarily going to get the sales the first time somebody visits from social media, but there's other ways of assessing a quality visitor. So I'm actually going to go back into, oh, I never went to my slide, so that's good. So I'm actually going to look at here what might be valuable. So the average engagement time per user, how long are visitors, from this case, Facebook, visiting my website for? And we can see that the average time is 26 seconds, which doesn't seem huge, but Google will mark someone as an engaged visitor if they visit for longer than 10 seconds. So apart from this one here, it's not too bad. Engagement rate, have I got that here? We need to add. Not seeing engagement rate. So we need to add a metric, because engagement rate is, do you remember bounce rate? Bounce rate was like the worst metric ever in Google Analytics. In the old analytics, as soon as you logged onto your website, there was like this big number pointing at you, bounce rate. And that was measured if somebody visited a page on your website, just a single page, and left, which was fine in the old days of websites, but that's not how it works anymore. And Google knows this, which is why they changed it, because now somebody can come to your website and they can visit one page, but they can carefully read every word on that page, scroll right to the bottom of the page. They can spend 10 minutes on your site doing all that stuff. They could convert on the page. So maybe you have a form on the page where they fill it out and they get a success message coming up, which for you would be a key event. But in the old analytics, that wouldn't have mattered. They could sit and watch a video or listen to a podcast. They could do all that stuff on one page. But because they'd only visited one page, the old analytics would have said, hey, they bounced, they're useless. Mm-hmm. So Google Analytics 4, thankfully, got rid of that, because it used to stress me out, I swear, looking at that. So what they've done is they come up with this thing called engagement rate, which we're going to add now in a second. And engagement rate is when somebody visits your website, or the percentage of people who visit your website, and they either spend longer than 10 seconds on a site, they scroll all the way through your page, or they trigger a key event, or they visit more than one page. So that whole bunch of stuff means that they're a valuable visitor. Much better than bounce rate. They had to bring bounce rate back because people, can you believe this? People actually complained that bounce rate wasn't there. But what bounce rate now represents is the opposite of engagement rate. So it's actually even bounce rate is more relevant. So that's the real story there, whether the engagement rate is good. So we're going to add it in. So back to our customized section on the right hand side. If I click on metrics and add metric, I'm just checking it's not there, because often I go in here and then I spot it. So if I start typing engagement, we see engagement rate comes up. So click on apply, and there it is at the end. So we can see that the average engagement rate for somebody visiting from Facebook is almost 55%. Sounds pretty good, actually, to me. So even though we're not getting lots of key events, we've actually got quite a few. We've got 19 key events. Go Facebook. Who thought? I'm not even there much anymore. We can see that the engagement rate is strong. And this is the real signal whether a social network is working for you or not. Does anyone want me to go through customizing the report again? And I'm going to take that with good, are we? Okay, so that's customizing a report. You can do that for each of the channels. You can do it for your demographic report. You could customize it so it's only showing you your target countries. You could do it if you just want to look at specific pages and how they're reacting. So I'm going to click back and get out of this now, and we'll go back to the next session. We're still in awareness. I did warn you this was the longest section. So the next stage of awareness is, are people actually looking for you? Because if people are searching for you on whichever search engine, in this case, it's going to be Google, because it's connecting the back end of Search Console to your Google Analytics. If people are actually searching for you, that is good news. That means they actually know who they're looking for, and those people are more likely to convert. How do we do that? How do we find out? Well, I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to start from the home page again. And we're going to, the first thing you need to do is, if you don't use Search Console already, Search Console is a Google tool that will tell you how well you're doing in search results. It will also tell you if your website's slow. It tells me my website's slow. It will tell you all sorts of things about your website performance as far as Google considers it. And you can, if you've got Search Console, you can add it to your Google Analytics to get these extra reports. We go down to the admin menu. Again, you may need to scroll. I've just got everything open nice and big so you can see it. We've got product links here. So these are all the Google services you can add if you need to. And you see at the bottom, Search Console links. and you can see I've got mine selected. You can only add one search console per property. So if you click into that and you don't have one, it will let you add your search console in. It will take you through that. And once you've got that, you will see Search Console pop up in your sidebar menu here. And what this gives you, it will tell you what people are searching for when they visit your site. It's not 100% accurate. Search Console isn't 100% accurate, and it does only represent Google search. So, you know, if you've got a lot of visitors coming from Bing or a different service, it's not going to show you those, but it gives you a good indication of, are people searching for you? So we'll go into queries, and you can see here a big long list of queries that people are looking for. Really annoying to me. I've been running a blog for the last 14 years, and some of my content is incredibly out of date, and people are still searching for it and finding it. So, for example, old retweet format. I mean, that was like back when Twitter was so new that there was no retweet button. You had to actually manually retweet people's content, and 15 people have clicked looking at that, which is really interesting.
I'm still trying to figure out where can I find the queries.
So do you have, I suppose the first thing is, just 1 second, I've lost my Google Meet. So just bear with me a second. I can't see you. I can just see all my screens, which is kind of annoying. Okay, I can see you now. Yes, you have to have Search Console added. And once you've added it, it should pop up. Ask me that question now in a couple of minutes' time when I go back into the customizing reports, and I'll show you why it might not be on your sidebar.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, so I can see some really random stuff here. I'm not really interested in most of this. I'm kind of glad that some of my Google Analytics content is beginning to make an impact. But what I'm really interested in is, are people searching for me? So the first thing I'm going to do is search for the name of my business. Now, it's not like I didn't test this before we started. I know what's going to happen here. No, nobody is searching for the name of my business, which is weird because give me a couple of years ago, there were loads of searches. In fact, you'll see it grabbed in the slides. I've done that. So I typed in spider instead, just because people always get the name of my business wrong. And I can see that, yeah, we've got spider working, and I've got 2 clicks. It's not massive either for all these people that kind of half got the name of my business right. Sounds like bad news, but actually over the last couple of years, I've been kind of pushing my personal brand more. So are people searching for me by name? Big clue right at the top here, 56 clicks. Now, in fairness, I'm just going to type in Amanda. There are a lot of Amanda Webbs in the world. Like in my school, there was another Amanda Webb. It's like there are a lot of us. So not every time somebody searches for Amanda Webb are they looking for me, but I can, and you can see there's been 4,530 search queries for Amanda Webb. 56 people have clicked. I'm kind of hoping that most of those people are actually looking for me. And we can see Amanda Webb with 1B because people always get that wrong. And I don't think, I was looking at this. No, I don't think any of the rest of those have anything to do with me. And we can just see that obviously there's only been 2 or 1 clicks on these. So I'd say most of them are searching for my name. So firstly, now I know people are searching for me rather than my business name, which is good news because I've been pushing that. And secondly, I want to monitor that over time. So I want to look in every month and see if I've been particularly active somewhere. Are people actually searching for my name more? In which case my brand awareness is rising. So let's go back to the slides for a second. How can we get more awareness? How can we measure the impact of that? So we talked a little bit about this already. Make sure you're engaging with people in social. Get in front of people's audiences like I am today. You're very kindly allowing me to talk about my favorite topic to a group of people I haven't met before, which hopefully means my brand awareness is going up. Collaborate with other people. So is there a project you can run together, or is it just a case of you have a podcast and they can go on it? Or maybe you want to run an affiliate scheme. You can use paid ads. They're not the magic bullet everyone thinks they are, but if you get them right, they can actually deliver more brand awareness. And use influencer marketing. People kind of sniff at the term influencer, but it's a really excellent way if you choose the right people that talk to your target market to reach even more people than you ever have before. So with 15 minutes left, most of my time is already spent on awareness. Let's talk about the other stages. So firstly, purchase content. Firstly, we're not just talking about people buying. We're talking about helping people to buy. How are we helping people to make a decision about whether they should buy from you? So you want to think about all the objections that your customers might have and create content around that, just to reassure them that they're making the right decision. Testimonials and case studies, they're magic. You know, I always think, are they really that important? Until I use a tool called Microsoft Clarity, which records website visits. And I'm always blown away by how slowly or how people stop on testimonials on my site and read them through. Answer any customer questions. Anytime somebody asks you a question, write it down and create a blog post, create some social content around it, and do demos of your product. And once you've got all those kind of pages on your website, you can start monitoring the people who visit them. And you can do that by creating a report for important page views. So I'm not going to customize here because, you know, you don't want to be here for 3 hours. But I'm going to go into reports and I'm going to show you where you would find this. So under engagement, you have pages and screens. So these are all the pages that people visit on your website, ordered by the most popular for views. The / on its own is always your homepage, and the rest, it's what goes after the /. Again, this is gobbledygook. They call this page path. We might call it URL. That might be what we call it. So that will give you that. We can change that into page title, which can make a little bit more sense when you're looking at it. Not set, by the way. It is the most frustrating thing ever in the whole world. We're just going to ignore that. Like, I could spend all day explaining it, but I would ignore not set. And you just look at the other pages on your website and how well they're performing. Now, what we want really to measure your sales content is to create a customized report that only shows you those pages I was talking about, that sales supporting content, your sales pages, those important pages on your website. So you don't have to rifle through all these pages that have nothing to do, like adding stories to your Facebook business page. That's got nothing to do with selling for me. So you want to customize this report just down to the important pages. So how do you make people make the decision? That was the consideration phase. My graphics were just confusing me there. Every time someone asks you a question, answer it online. Also, make sure you've got a process. When you work with someone, do you have a processing page for asking for reviews and testimonials? If you don't, you really should, because you're going to be really glad you have those when you start creating sales pages. If you have a client that you've made a real difference to their life or their business, they're really good ones to interview. Ask them where they started. Why did they come to you in the first place? What was the problem they have? And then talk about how you solved it for them. On social media, just always be asking questions so that you get more engagement. You find out more about your customers. That gives you better ideas for content. Make sure it's really easy to contact you on your website. A live chat function can really work, and the way chatbots are going, they're getting better and better, so you don't even need to be online all the time. And make sure that when you are on social media, it's not all about getting people to your website, that thing they don't like to do. If you ask them to send you a direct message, you can send them a link in that direct message, knowing that that's going to be a quality visitor when they get there. So now we are onto the purchase phase, the most important bit. How do we measure this? Well, we need to think about the process that people go through when they buy from us. So maybe they land on our homepage, maybe then they look at a product or service, then they add it to the cart, fill in an inquiry form, send you a direct message, then they begin the checkout process or they book a call, and then they purchase. That's kind of like a standard journey. Not everyone follows a standard journey. Some of this stuff is not measurable, but as much as possible, we want to know the process that people should go through so we can see if it's working. So you should map out your own individual process, the process that you think people need to go through on your website to buy from you. So this is an example of a service business. The orange stuff is stuff that happens online. The blue is stuff that happens offline based on my own process. So people might finish the homepage, go to a sales page. They go to a page where they fill in a form, although I'm changing that on my website at the moment. Then they get a thank you page, and then the email, the sales call, the proposal, all that happens off my website. If you're an e-commerce business, similar, they might start on your homepage, go to a category page, choose a product, add it to the cart, check out, purchase, and then all that blue stuff happens afterwards. You might send a confirmation email, dispatch email, the fact that you've delivered the item, and then ask for feedback. When we know, just bear with me a second. I want something to pop up on my screen. It isn't. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, my screen has just gone weird. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so when we've mapped out, I've just realized I'm not sharing my slides, and I was sharing because I think I had a message. Was that you telling me, Zainab, I hadn't shared my slides? Okay, let's look at those because they're pretty. So this is your services. And this, I'm going to move this screen around. Just bear with me so I never lose it again. This is when you have multiple screens. So this is your e-com process as a homepage, category, product page, add to cart. I use Post-it notes when I do this so that I can move them around. Like Post-it notes are one of my favorite things. And for your services, again, most of the action actually happens off-site. For me, it might be different for you. So just map that process out. And once you've mapped that process out, you can go to your analytics and you can see, is that the path that people are actually following? And to do that, we're going to go into this new section. It's not the standard reports, it's the explore reports. And the explore reports, as you might remember, are the ones that it's really important to have that 14 months up there. So when you go into explore, there's all these template reports that you can play with. We're going to go into path exploration. We're going to find out something really bad, I'm sure, about people not following the path I want them to on my website. So here, this doesn't make any sense, really, what we see initially. So we're going to click on Start Again. And there's different ways we can construct this. We can choose a starting point so we can see where people go from the homepage, or we can start an ending point where we could say this is how people got to my end goal. So firstly, I'm going to change my time period to the last 12 months. I've actually got some juicy data to look at. And now I'm going to click starting point. And I'm going to go for page path and screen class because I know my home page here. So what this is doing is it's showing me the path that people are taking through my website. Does it match what I want them to? So home page, I wanted them to go to my sales page next. So you can see we've had 1,229 people on my home page. Great, thankfully, 31 people. Not huge, but it is the third most popular page they've gone to is training and mentoring. 25 have gone into my services page. I can expand this even further if I want to. There's another service page and another one. So good news. Most of the pages they're visiting after my homepage are my services page. I always find that the about page is really high up on this process when I look at people's websites. So if you don't have a visible about page on your website, I really would get one. That's your chance to build trust with your audience. So let's see, they went into training and mentoring. Let's see where they went next. So they've chosen the services, and here they're looking at various different training products that I offer. And this is really good for me to see which ones they are most interested in. So actually what the UTM is right at the top of that page, but it's not the one that's had the most clicks. The one that's had the most clicks, I know that this is actually my Google Analytics beginners course, which is really interesting because this is only €10 and this is €60. So to me, that's good news. This one's like €800 and it's the most popular one. So now I'm beginning to track that. So let's look at the product. They've gone there and hopefully they bought. So somebody's gone back to the training and mentoring page, somebody's gone back to the home page, but one person actually bought. So great, they are kind of following the path that I want them to. You need to look at yours and see, are people following the path you want them to? I've remembered to put the slides up this time. This is good. Right, so our final phase is our loyalty phase. So are people hanging around? Are people coming back? That's the real importance. People always say it's really expensive to get a new customer. So if you can get them to keep buying from you, then that's good news because you don't have to acquire them every single time. So we might want to look at the number of times people buy from you. And you might also want to look at the customer lifetime value. So how much did they spend in the lifetime of them being a customer of you? I mean, it makes sense, right? Now, a lot of this you're actually going to get from your own records, not from Google Analytics. Google Analytics is going to show you a fraction of this because it can't identify every user and it doesn't know about every user. So things like lifetime value, if somebody buys from me once, they're not going through my website to buy again. They're giving me a call or they're dropping me an email. Does that make sense? So look at this report. It's fun, particularly if you're e-commerce, it's fun, but don't rely on the numbers. So back into our Google Analytics. Let's start on the home page again, just to refresh everything. And then we're going to go into our Explore. And this time I'm going to click on Template Gallery. This is where I got excited earlier on because they've added some stuff in when I click these. That was quite exciting to me, but that's not what we're looking at. What we want to look at is the user lifetime report. So basically it's creating this from scratch so that we can play around with it. But automatically, now this isn't very interesting because I don't sell much on my site, which was why I was trying to show you the Google site, but it refused to show me any data. But we can see here that the lifetime average transactions for somebody who comes from social, for example, is 0, but you'd imagine there'd be a number there if I actually sold stuff on there. We can see the amount of what am I looking for? The LTV, lifetime value average. So how much they spend over the lifetime of being a customer. So this is, say, all the people who it's not been able to identify where it came from. So 66 people have spent an average of $113 each over the lifetime of being a customer. Now I'm going to, what did I think I could do here? Here we've got all those default channel groupings, or in this case, mediums. It would be much better if we could actually see that source that we were looking at earlier. On the left-hand side here, we can see source. And if I double click that, it should put that row in or column in. So now we can start to see, and I'm going to get rid of medium. So this is where you can see the real value from these networks. Again, direct is driving the highest lifetimes transaction and the highest value. But if you had a proper e-commerce report, you'd be able to see which ones of these were actually delivering the best results for you. Okay, last thing. Zenab was asking about Search Console and why she can't see the report. If you've got any other questions, like I don't have to necessarily finish in the next 3 minutes. If anyone needs to ask me questions afterwards, that's fine. But let me answer that question for you. I keep calling you Zenab because I have a friend and it's Zineb, right? Z-I.
Exactly. That's perfect.
Okay. I keep saying Zenab because I have a friend called Zenab and it's Zineb. I'll get close. Right. Okay. So you've got Search Console connected. Why are you not seeing your Search Console on your report sidebar? Well, it's something that sometimes it just comes automatically and sometimes it doesn't. And there's something you're probably going to want to change in your sidebar, and it's down in your library. And where your library is, we can see, you see this, check these regularly. This is my own little collection, my own little sidebar with all the important reports that I've created there. We can also see life cycle here, and we can see life cycle here. We can see Search Console. And we can see Search Console there. If you're not seeing Search Console, it could be because it's not published yet. So it'll be grayed out like these ones, not published, not published. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
So all you need to do is click on these three dots and click on, mine says unpublished, yours will say publish. Sometimes you need to refresh after you've done that, but then it should appear on your search sidebar there.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
And that brings me to when you've created those custom reports, those custom Facebook reports, LinkedIn, organic search, the pages, how do you make those appear on your sidebar? Well, you can create a new collection. I'm not going to do that because I have so many already. Actually, I'll just delete this one and then I can. So you're going to click on new collection. You can go for a blank collection this time. And a collection just means that section on your sidebar. You can give it a name. So I'll just call it custom. Then you can create a topic. And this is like when I was showing you the sidebar and the buckets they were in, like acquisition, engagement, all of those, except we're going to make them more user-friendly. We don't have to speak googly-gook. So we could call a topic, what marketing is working, for example. Or we could say, sales page views. And these are the buckets that you put your reports in. And then you've got a big list of all your reports here. But we can actually select, we could type in, and like most of mine begin with test, they're detailed reports. And obviously I can't spell or I can't type. So I could bring in my test LinkedIn report into my marketing, what marketing is working. Test people who come from Facebook. Just drop some in there so I can see. And then you click on save. Click on the back button. And here we see the custom reports not published. So we're not seeing them on the sidebar here. If I click on these three dots and click publish, there you go. We've got our custom reports have appeared. Like I say, sometimes you have to refresh before that appears. So what is next? What's next? Well, firstly, I hope you're feeling a little less like you've got analytics face, but just a couple of things to think about. Firstly, stop worrying about everyone else's analytics. Always benchmark against yourself. So how many conversions or key events have you got now? You know, can you make that better next month? How many of the ideal visitors from the right countries are visiting your website? Can you grow that, and how are you going to grow it? When you benchmark against yourself, you know if you're making progress. When you look at a high traffic website,
I say absolutely.
Yeah, when you look at a high traffic website, I could look at one of my competitors in Dublin, and they're probably getting a ton of traffic and maybe more conversions than me. But you know, I'm just a one-person business. They've got a big agency, so there's no point me comparing myself against them. Think about what your key events should be and what they shouldn't be. So you might want to revisit yours. Monitor your brand services, customize your reports, and map that process you want people to take through your website so you can see are they actually doing it. And I do have a little treat for you as well, which is my Google Analytics phrasebook. So you can either scan the QR code or go to spiderworking.com/Zineb, and you can get that. You don't have to sign up to my email list for that. It's just so that I can deliver it, but there is a button if you wish to. I'm open to questions. I've gone 2 minutes over already, so apologies for that.
Thank you very much for your insight. And we got a lot of tips, actually. I wish I can keep you for 3 more hours.
I'm always happy. I would say I would happily talk for 3 more hours, but I'm sure you'd all fall asleep.
So, regarding the Search Console, I couldn't find it for some reason. So I might check it out later after the webinar and ask you about that. And according to you and to your experience, how can we link Google Analytics Insight to our marketing effort in general?
So really, once you've got your benchmarks where you are now, you need to try something else. So where I try to give you a few tips at the end of each section. So if you aren't getting enough traffic to your website, don't try and work on everything at once is my first thing. But if you're not getting enough of the right traffic to your website, you need to kind of like work out a strategy for how you're going to get more. So is it a case that you're going to start pitching to go on podcasts? Or is it that you're going to go and try and talk at your local business group? Or is it that you're going to do something like this? Once you put that into place, you want to go back and see, is there an increase? After you've done that, are you getting more people from the right regions visiting your website? And that could go for anything really, age groups. Another thing you can do, because Google isn't so great at identifying anything beyond your country and your language, you can create some content that really calls those people out. So, for example, if I was targeting digital marketers, I'd write like 5 Google Analytics tips for digital marketers, for example, knowing that when people visit that page, because I've called them, I've said this is for digital marketers, there's a really good chance that they're my target market. So whoever your target market is, if you create specific content that answers their pain points, that will bring more of the right people to your site. And then you can start measuring not just are they in the right country, but are you getting people that are interested in the right thing visiting your site? If you remember when we looked at pages, I'm so getting the wrong people visiting my site, because anyone that's looking on about how to retweet the old way is not my customer. So it's like, you know, because I've changed my strategy. I used to be a social media person, and it's only the last 3 years that I really got into analytics. I need to really change the people that are visiting my site too.
Really interesting. Thank you for this tip. Actually, I mean, writing the right content for the audience is the key. And I will add up to this. I mean, this is an opposite perspective. We are getting, for example, the wrong audience to our websites. We are getting people from Turkey, and that's our highest traffic. What are your opinion regarding that?
I would just filter those out. I would create a report that just, if you're just targeting Morocco, that it's just Morocco or just the target countries you have. Never look at your general visitors, just look at the people that are coming from the countries you're interested in, and then do some of those things to grow that audience. So like creating the content or creating very specific local content that's going to appeal to those people, that mentions things that are specific problems that they have to deal with, and getting out in front of more local people, more people. It doesn't have to be local. Like the United States is one of my audiences. So I'm going out, being on their podcasts, being on as many free trainings as I can, just to build my reputation there as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. We are having 2 more questions before we wrap up. So Btihal, she's asking how to advance segmenting Google Analytics to refine a marketing campaign. How to use advanced segments, sorry.
Right. So segments, you can create them within those explore reports that I was showing you. You can actually create a segment there, and you can create it into an audience. So that's the first thing you can do. Or you can create an audience. Let me go into, let's actually just go into audiences. So I've gone into the admin section, and we've got audiences here. And you can see, I think you can create, I thought it was 50, but now I think it's 100. I think you can create 100 different audiences. And you can see I've got kind of specific Irish visitors who visit 3 or more pages. Not a lot of people there. Ideal customers who spend an above hour average time on site. So these are very kind of targeted audiences I've created. If I go into new audience, there's some template audiences you can work with. So if you are a e-com store, you can easily create your purchasers, your non-purchasers, recently active users. If you go into templates, there's more. So you can segment by demographics, tech, so whether they're using iPhone or Android, if you want to kind of do that, or whether they're using the web. Acquisition, you can get down to those source channels like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, organic search. Predictive, unless you've got a lot of traffic on your site, they're no good to you. You can't do anything with that. You need like huge. I was even working with quite a large brand recently, and they didn't even have enough to get predictive. So for most of us as smaller businesses, that's out of the question. Or you can start from scratch. If you want to get more granular with it, like you were saying, a particular segment, you can go in here and you can add in that you want people who are based in Ireland who have looked at 3 pages, who have spent 10 minutes on your site, and really get down to the nitty-gritty of that audience there. And once you've done that, you can share that with your ads account. So I think you were asking about that as well. Audiences that you create here, you can share with your ads account. And you can even filter down your view of analytics to a specific audience. That's a really quick run-through answer of that question.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Second question. How can we consider Google Analytics like a roadmap? And then a last question. How can you use Google Analytics to track and improve your marketing funnel performance, which was the key of our conversation?
Give me the first one again there. I've forgotten it already.
Can we consider Google Analytics like a roadmap?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it really is. It's more like you're drawing the map with your analytics. So instead of you kind of like following the roadmap, you're actually finding all the dead ends and all the broken bits so that you can fix those and make a better map, if that makes sense. So it's really good for that. The second question I've forgotten again. Sorry, I can't retain information for longer than 10 seconds.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Can you leverage Google Analytics to track and improve your marketing funnel performance?
Yeah, so that's exactly what this was about. Now, I did skip the last couple of tips that I had for improving your purchase rate and your lifetime value. That is in the slide, so I will send that on to you. But really, that's what it's all about, looking at each stage. Like I said, don't try and fix it all at once because you'll never know what worked. Mm-hmm. So maybe, I was talking to someone yesterday, actually, and they had like a really good conversion rate on their website. Their traffic to their website had gone down, but their conversion rate, as in the number of people who triggered a key event, had gone way up. And they were like, I need to get more traffic. I've lost the traffic. And I was kind of like, well, you obviously lost all the bad traffic because now the people who visit are actually buying. So we need to identify those people and find more of those people to start the process, not just kind of like get tons of the wrong traffic, if that makes sense. So that's what you want to look at. You want to look at each phase and go, what is it that I could implement here that would make a difference? Is it having more of that consideration content when people want to buy from me? Am I servicing all the questions that they could possibly have? And if you create content around that, will that have an impact then on the metrics that are associated with that?
Perfect. Thank you very much. So if I summarize what we have seen today, the importance of Google Analytics to make your websites more useful, which means all your effort going to have a return on investment, how to analyze the engagement, how to learn more about user attributes, how to use Search Console data, to learn more about people search, and how to rely on Google Analytics to get great insight in order to increase your marketing strategy. Thank you very much, Amanda. It was very helpful and insightful for all of us. And personally, I would like to learn more, but this is something I will consider after we finish the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me talk to everyone. It's been fantastic.
Yes. And thank you, everyone, for being engaged and for your attention. Thank you very much.